I have been waiting for you here in my lighthouse. I've been silent for 500 years of loneliness, which was hard to bear. But I kept myself busy preparing for the time when we would meet. And I will tell you the rest of the story. I've never told it to anyone before. I realize you would like to unveil the mysterious powers Piri used to draw his amazing map. I, a true follower of Piri Reis, was the captain of that ship, which sailed along each coast on his map and discovered new lands and cultures. But I discovered more than that. Set her to sail and light up the dark pages of history, the mystery behind the map, and see the veil lift that masks the truth behind the discoveries. I won't tell you more. You have to find the secret of the map Piri never mentioned to anyone by taking the same route as I and Piri did. What you'll find may be the thing we are all looking for. Turn the sand glass and let nature be your guide. To each corner of this room, we put down the history. The legends of the map you use were once framed in ivory. I have sailed a lot, and thus here you'll find the plot. The diary gives the answers within the long day's record. A large display of wisdom you'll need most. Each expedition adds to what is on board. You can pass from one place to another using the deck, just like the ship passes from one region to another. Paper, in different forms, indifferent to the wind blowing, will definitely help your persistence for the solution. You'll command your knowledge as you command the ship here in this sail room. You'll learn as you sail. You'll sail as you learn. Wisely steer the ship. Well calculate the knot. A good sailor knows when and where to cast anchor or not. The map will guide you to what we have seen and heard. You better have the answer, or it's Davy Jones' locker. If you sink down below, you'll be too heavy to lift up again. But the ship is wise. The ship knows the answer. Look around, and you'll find the key to open seas. History has an order. Do not change as you please. The marvelous work of Piri was burned deep in history. But you'll have the answer after thorough study and a long day's journey. Here you have a picture for each memory. Put them in order as you have learned, not as you see.
The mosque was built on the command of Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent between 1550 and 1557. The architecture of the mosque found in Slemania is by Sinan, who started this second important work of art at the age of 60. The most important portion of this mosque allows a very large crowd to worship. The large main area has a very high dome. Sinan has attached great importance to the acoustic structure also. A sound made on one side of the huge dome can be heard from the other side. The layout of the mosque is almost square, 63 meters by 68 meters. Suleimania is also a working air exchange system. Besides the structure of the mosque, the ornaments are important. The faience ornaments are among the best of the 16th century in color and style. The mihrab and walls are decorated with colorful ornaments. The writing in the mosque, the carvings on the windows and ivory inlays are among the best examples of 16th century art.
One of the numerous inscriptions on Piri Reis's world map of 1513 lists his sources. He says he consulted 20 maps. Among these, charts and mapai mundi. Some of these were Portuguese, one we know of was Arab, and one was the map of Christopher Columbus himself. But what were these mapai mundi, and what were the charts? The charts were certainly portulans. Portulans are maps of the Mediterranean showing the features of the coast and of the islands in some detail. They are decorated with what are called loxodromes, which are radiating lines which indicate directions of winds. These are very characteristic of portulans. The earliest portulans we know seem to date from the middle of the 13th century, whether European or Islamic, because we do have some Islamic portulans. The remarkable thing about all portulans is that they are the same. Coastal features in all portulans seem to derive from a common original. In some of them, even the loxodromes are placed in exactly the same areas. It is logical to assume, therefore, that they're all derived from a common original. What this original was, we do not know. It has even been suggested that it was a classical map. Whether this is possible or not, I don't know.
The small town of Aja-Abat, situated on the Dardanelles, has been host to many nationalities during its history. This is one of the places where the Turkish forces arrived in Europe. The fortress of Khalid-ul-Baha, meaning Sea Lock, used to control the Straits of the Dardanelles at their narrowest point. It was built by Mehmet the Conqueror in 1452, 1 year before he conquered Constantinople. Thus, it played a very important part in Ottoman history. This is also where Piri Reis began his work on his description of the Mediterranean. This description resulted in the celebrated book called Kitabi Bahriye, or Book of the Sea. In 1390, Gallipoli, Gelibolu in Turkish, became a major arsenal and naval base of the Ottoman Empire. What made its location particularly valuable was its proximity to the Dardanelles, the key to the Sea of Marmara. Gallipoli was a city the livelihood of which was dependent on the sea and naval activities. With this perspective, it afforded its local Greek population a relatively smooth transition to Ottoman rule. Most of the men, already engaged in seamanship, were integrated into the naval structures set up, and thus the city became a naval base in which Greeks and Muslim Turks coexisted, united in employment and activities provided by the presence of the Ottoman naval and arsenal. Piri Reis, the great Turkish cartographer and navigator, was born here in Gallipoli in 1470.
In 1513, Piri Reis spent some time in the city of Gelibolu, which was a center for naval activity of the Ottomans. While he was there, he prepared a map of the world. Later, he had an opportunity to go to Egypt, a country that the Ottoman Sultan had just conquered, and he presented this map to the Sultan. The story is, even before the map was discovered, that Selim took the map, tore it into two parts, and said, this part is for the Habsburg Emperor, that is the part of the New World, and this part, the Old World, that is Asia and Africa, belongs to the Sultan of the Ottomans. During the 1520s, Piri Reis had a very active period. He produced 2 versions of his Kitab-ı-Bahriye, and he also began working on a second world map. There isn't very much of it left, not because it got torn, but because he didn't complete very much of it. It's about 1/6 of the world and shows the northeastern coastline of North America. It goes from about Labrador down to about Florida. And for its time, 1528 is an extraordinarily accurate map. Where he got his information, we really do not know. We know much less about this map than we do about the 1513 map. It is interesting in the kinds of information that were coming into the Ottoman Empire, even though we do not know where they came from or who delivered them.
In 1528, Piri Reis drew another world map. This time, probably only 1/6 has been preserved. Judging from what we have, it was remarkably accurate and shows the contours of Florida, of Central America, in a manner that favorably compares with any contemporary map.
You saved your ship!
A century and a half after the conquest, Istanbul had developed into a major center of political and economic power, much like the Ottoman Empire itself. The former church of Hagia Sophia was turned into a mosque. The palace of Topkapi, overlooking the Sea of Marmara, the Mosque of Fatih the Conqueror, those of his successors Bayezid and Selim already gave the city its characteristic skyline of domes and minarets. The Mosque of Suleiman the Magnificent, built by the famous architect Sinan, dominates the southern shores of the Golden Horn. Hundreds of ships unloaded their cargo into the vast warehouses of the commercial district. The covered bazaar had grown from a central structure built by Mehmet the Conqueror into a labyrinth of covered streets and hundreds of shops. Turks, Greeks, Armenians, Jews, Arabs, and Europeans participated in the bustling activity of the city, gaining the admiration of travelers from all over the world who came to visit. A century and a half after the conquest, visitors to Topkapı Palace would be received by the celebrated Janissaries, the personal guards of the Sultan. Foreign dignitaries would be startled by the sound of their band. On November 1929, while Topkapi Palace in Istanbul was undergoing renovations for a conversion into a national museum, a map of the western half of the world was found. This map was then studied by scholars Adolf Deisman, Paul Kali, and Halil Etem. 2 years later, in September 1931, the 1513 map of Piri Reis was presented to the world at the 18th Congress of Orientalists assembled at Leiden University, the Netherlands. On November
The marvelous work of Piri was burned deep in history. But you'll have the answer after thorough study and a long day's journey. Here you have a picture for each memory. Put them in order as you have learned, not as you see. You have discovered the 1513 map of Piri Reis. Now the Great Sea opens before you and brought to life the incredible machine of his tube. From now on, you'll be the one to tell the tale. The ship you sail in has a lot more to say. Listen to his whispers coming through the cannons. The night seems long if you're lost on the vast blue, but the thick black gives way as the stars shine on you. I found my way in the dark with the help of the log. Every gloomy passage has an illuminated shortcut that will lead to my room where I immortalize the days. But remain. You are armed with knowledge and liberty to spot a friendly ship from that of your enemy. But first of all, study your own ship and completely in detail. Well done. You are no longer a stranger on this ship. Now it's time to look at the sun and the horizon. Practice with the navigation instruments, or let the sea be your prison. Only they can show you the route to the West Indies. We did not conceal the lore, but you must look for more. Survey the pages that may give you a hint. Sometimes simple symbols are more crucial than words. Navigation needs instruments of all sorts. Copy their images between the tight ropes. Place the pieces in accordance on my chart as the foundation. Your success will give access to a new dimension. One for the noon, one for dusk, and one for the night. The correct instrument at the correct time and open mind may easily cover the sun, and the horizon make you blind. The numbers you enter are just a prayer for a strong wind. One for the noon, one for dusk, and one for the night. The correct instrument at the correct time and open mind. One for the noon, one for dusk, and one for the night. The correct instrument at the correct time and open mind. May easily cover the sun and the one for the noon, one for dusk, and one for the night. The correct instrument at the correct time. Congratulations! Your ability is truly astonishing. Making use of the navigational instruments, you can sail with the safest winds and currents. But legends may prove true, and an island may not be what it seems. Be patient. Much unknown territory lies before you. All you have to do is what the monk tells you. If you can't deal the cards, the legend is the clue. The flames burned all the evils of the sea. Fire on the back of the fish set the sails free. the ship needs stronger winds than other vessels. And now the masks are breaking their silence. History has an order, so does a straight line. A mouth may spoil a life, but eyes do not lie.
A passing Piri Reis.
Documents
through many a lifeless for the first time.
From medieval people, Columbus's jungle, MP, they discovery reports about on his
amazingly correct chart.
Piri Reis,
Documents
For the first time,
Columbus's discovery on his
amazingly correct chart.
There, you caught the unknown. Not only you found the correct sentence, masks also reveal the map's other striking feature. Go and put together pieces of other charts. But Piri's map is the essence. Hope you'll find the relations between them in the future. Place the pieces in accordance on my chart as the foundation. Your success will give access to a new dimension. Possessed by the art of cartography, uniting the pieces of ancient charts, you've proved the success of Piri Reis. Night glows from above. It's time for a new route. Sail as the wind blows. Routes leading out from the windrows.
The ocean, the open waters of the sea, is a path to other places and cultures. Oceans make the world one world. In the time of Columbus and Piri Reis, the ocean, the Western Sea as the Atlantic Ocean was known, was an obstacle to travel, and its true value was unknown to Europe and the Mediterranean world. The Piri Reis map is one of the earliest surviving maps to show in detail the Atlantic Ocean. Some places on the map were shown for the first time in the history of cartography. Also, some written information about the oceans appears for the first time on Piri Reis's map. The map shows an amazing accuracy regarding the longitudinal width of the Atlantic Ocean between Africa and South America. The distance between West Africa and South America on the map is short only by about 9 degrees longitude. It is the earliest surviving map to name Rio de Janeiro and showing in detail the coastline of south of Rio de Janeiro. It is one of the earliest surviving maps depicting a postulated connection between South America and the southern continent of Terra Australis. It is one of the surviving maps dating from the beginning of the 16th century to illustrate both sides of the Atlantic Ocean.
Take that! The ship is swerving!
In the early 15th century, there was a simultaneity of geographical discovery. China, in the Indian Ocean by Arab navigators, particularly out of Oman and Zanzibar, and of course in the Iberian Peninsula, particularly in Portugal. This may have been motivated, although nobody is sure, by the desire to find gold, because all three of these areas had centralized, were beginning to have centralized governments, and they needed gold in order to buy armies, and they were looking for new sources of it. It was a global happening. It was happening simultaneously, or almost simultaneously, in the Far East and the Far West. It's also possible that all of these things were linked by information exchange. We know nothing about this, but it is possible that Chinese navigators knew what Arab navigators in the Indian Ocean were up to, and it is possible that Arab navigators in the Indian Ocean knew what Iberian navigators in Portugal were up to. This is something to explore.
Sail in the directions the windrose of Piri points you to. You'll reach the shores of sky observation. Note the glow in shades of colors, like 6 dolphin globes, but only 3 work, not others. Your reward is more valuable than all the riches of the world. This is the access to a new dimension we all search for. But you have to climb down below to fly high above. The ship is older. The ship knows the answer. This is the truth regarding the timbers the waves have beaten. There is only one exit, which is not yet opened. You have sailed a lot on Earth, but where it ends, heaven will be unspoiled, and hope, which man always cherishes. At every corner of the room, your vision of constellations will change, like symbols differ from region to region as you range. Draw them on the sky, take all in frames, and give the stars their names. At every corner of the room, your vision of constellations will change, like symbols differ from region to region as you range. Draw them on the sky, take all in frames, and give the stars their names. At every corner of the room, your vision of constellations will change, like symbols differ from region to region as you range. Draw them on the sky, take all in frames, and give the stars their names. At every corner of the room, your vision of constellations will change, like symbols differ from region to region as you range. Draw them on the sky, take all in frames, and give the stars their names. At every corner of the room, your vision of constellations will change, like symbols differ from region to region as you range. Draw them on the sky, take all in frames, and give the stars their names. At every corner of the room, your vision of constellations will change, like symbols differ from region to region as you range. Draw them on the sky, take all in frames, and give the stars their names. Lift up the veil that had concealed the mystery. What you witness will lessen your misery. Now leave all your doubts behind and do not frown. You'll be crowned with a celestial crown. Like the two faces of the same coin, you and I, sailing on the Earth, rocketing into space, over and over again, tumbling down to Earth, and tossing ourselves up into the sky, exploring, discovering ourselves, you and I. Don't be surprised. You have been turning the pages of an old book, written long ago, and it is still being written about us, you and I. Look at the Earth, from Cairo to Rio de Janeiro, from Istanbul to New York. How beautiful, how fabulous to be alive down there. You will go beyond me, far beyond me. It is your story.